I know a lot of us find it hard to believe this, but there's a lot more to making music than making music. Do you know what I mean? Like, not only do we need to write the lyrics, sing the lyrics, record the vocals, produce the track, mix the track, and maybe even master it, but then we need to market it, release it, and of course, make time for ourselves and general life. So today, I want to share some of my favorite podcasts that have helped me with my creativity, my marketing, my mind, and my mental health. Hey, what's up everybody? It's Fabio from Noise here at Boombox, the home of collaboration. Now, I don't know about you, but after a day in the studio, when I go and do whatever it is that I need to, i.e. maybe like the gym or cooking dinner, the last thing I want to listen to is music. But silence is a little too deafening and sometimes kind of scary. I still want to feel like I'm being productive whilst I'm being productive, if you know what I mean. So I have a range of podcasts downloaded, lined up, and I pick one depending on my mood or what I think I might want to learn at that moment in time. Podcast number one is Creative Juice by Indiepreneur. Now, I'm not sure what the names of the hosts are, but the reason I like their podcast so much is because they are very marketing focused. Now, that is something that I do personally a lot through social media and for Boombox, but they give a lot of insight into how musicians could better market themselves on different platforms. They also focus on branding and unconventional creative strategies that might get you thinking out the box before your next release. Podcast number two is where I like to come for my news. This is the Popcast by New York Times. Their focus is an in-depth exploration of pop music trends and culture. Hosted by the incredibly charismatic John Caramanica, he'll take you through a journey of cynicism, criticism, and curiosity. I personally love their deep dives into the stories behind chart-topping hits, which offer fantastic cultural insights and music analysis. In at number three is Tape Notes, hosted by John Kennedy. Now, hopefully as a musician, you've had the chance to tune into this podcast because it is quite fantastic. John Kennedy will sit through an artist, a very established one a lot of the time, and walk with them through their creative process and journey from when they began to where they are now. The artists even pull up their tracks and explain some of the technical processes that help them sculpt their sound. As they break down their tracks, they also get quite plugin specific, which is rather enticing if you're a massive nerd like me. In at number four, and I should mention that none of these are in any particular order either, just sort of pick them randomly, there's no hierarchy here, is How I Built This with Guy Raz. How I Built This is not music focused. In fact, it very much focuses on some of the biggest entrepreneurs in the world, where Guy Raz interviews and shares the stories of the people who built brands like Starbucks and Airbnb. This is a great source of inspiration for anyone who's finding their journey and career through music to be tough and are looking for a bit of inspiration. It's surprising how difficult it was for some of these entrepreneurs and innovators to get to where they are today. And it's a pleasant reminder that in order to get to where we want to be, you gotta be dragged through sometimes, if you know what I mean. In the interviews, Guy Raz really likes to point out the challenges that these individuals had to overcome to get to where they are today. And at the end of these podcasts, I tend to feel rather liberated and enthusiastic about getting back to work. Number five, Hanging Out with Audiophiles by Jamie Liddell. Now, Jamie Liddell, I hope he doesn't mind me saying this, is the ultimate geek, but in the coolest way ever. He typically starts his podcast by explaining a piece of equipment that he has in his studio and how he's using it. He'll play these little sound bites which really get your ears going before sinking in to a longer conversation or an interview with a guest. The way he describes sounds and sonics is somewhat poetic, but never in a pretentious way. It's always playful, easy to listen to, and it feels like you're in the studio with him throughout the entire episode. Think of it as a laid-back exploration into the audio world, uncovering hidden gems and sonic landscapes. At number six, the RBMA Couch Wisdom. This is the Red Bull Music Academy, which it doesn't exist anymore, but it's still very much here in our hearts. Now, if you're not familiar with the Red Bull Music Academy, they set up all these incredible studios around the world where they invited the coolest of the cool, the top of the top in producers, singers, songwriters, engineers to host these workshops where young and upcoming artists could sit in real time, whether it be in a studio or a live interview, and sit with some of the best minds in music. I'm getting so Italian here. Best minds in a music. I can't help it. It's just so my blood. The interviews are, as you can imagine, quite specific to the guest. But one of my favorites is with Q-Tip, where we start to understand a little bit more of the history of the hip hop world. Lucky number 7. So remember before, at the beginning of the podcast, I spoke about we got to make the music, market the music, release the music, and then live life. Well, I do think that physical health and mental well-being are such a big part of what we do because, generally speaking, the music industry isn't so kind to our body and our mind. So I've found that being educated by one of the best brains in neurology, aka Dr. Andrew Huberman, has helped me build discipline and routine around my day-to-day in music, which ultimately makes me much better when I'm sitting here doing my thing. Whether it's about how to be more efficient in the gym, how to deal with trauma, or why saunas are so damn good for you. Not only is it incredibly informative, but he's very relaxing to listen to. Never condescending, never pretentious, and explains things in a way that even this idiot can understand. Okay, and number 8, big drum roll / eye roll, please. Some of you are gonna hate me for saying this, hate me. Gary V Audio Experience by Gary V has been one of my favorite podcasts for a while. Admittedly, I stopped listening for a few years because I felt that the message started to become a little bit toxic when he was always pushing hustle culture. But in recent times, I do think that Gary V has changed his perspective and added a lot more compassion to his process and the way he likes to preach about it. For those of you who don't know Gary V, he's a very eccentric and enthusiastic entrepreneur out of New York City. He's got a lot of energy and often goes on incredibly long monologues, even if he's interviewing someone who will just completely interrupt them and take over, which can be somewhat annoying at times. But there are so many gems in what he says, and I find his wisdom most applicable to social media, marketing, discipline, and gratitude. And that's why I chose 8 different podcasts, because we have lots of different moods, and just like we listen to music when we're feeling in different ways, I feel that podcasts get played in the same way. So comment down below with what your favorite podcast is, or if you listen to any of these and what you like about them. And let me know if you want me to do more videos like this. Again, a huge thanks to Boombox for making these videos possible. Welcome to the home of collaboration. Don't forget to sign up and get 4 GB for free, and I'll see you very soon. It's a pleasure as always. Peace!